welcome back to my channel. So today we are getting into the long-awaited why I quit teaching video. We're getting into the tea, okay? I already filmed this video. I didn't really like how it came out, which is why I'm dropping it a little later than anticipated, but I'm definitely making sure whatever I put out is good content. I also had somebody email me and it really touched my heart. Someone emailed me and was like, I understand that life may have gotten in the way, but I am looking forward to the why you quit teaching video. I believe that you could really make a YouTube career. And that really touched my heart because that's really all I want. So anyways, outside of that, yes, we are getting into the video. I don't like long overdrawn intros, but I do have some disclaimers. I have my notes here on my iPad. Number one, first and foremost, this has absolutely nothing to do with students, kids, anything of the sort. I absolutely love working with children. It is a passion of mine. I really love kids so much. So everything that I say in this video literally has nothing to do with them and everything to do with the external factors of why I quit teaching. So I need to make that very clear first and foremost. So my second disclaimer is this video is not telling anyone to not become a teacher. This video is not to discourage anyone from becoming a teacher. This is just me giving y'all my experiences and the reasons why I quit. Also some things to look out for if you are interested in teaching. These are some things that I wish I knew, but again, this is not telling anyone to not teach or trying to discourage anyone from teaching. And lastly, I feel like this may be a lengthy video, it may not be, but also I do know for a fact I will probably miss a lot of points because the conversation about teaching, the school system, and everything that's going on today is literally endless. I am constantly having conversations with people who currently teach, who have taught, who, you know, are just associated with teaching and education in general. So we're constantly having conversations about this. Even me quitting, I'm still having conversations about this because I am passionate about children and the growth and teaching. I do love the concept of it. I just think there's a lot of things wrong with the school system, and we're gonna get into all that. But when watching this video, if you guys think of something, please comment down below. I would love to talk about it with you guys, even make an updated video if need be. But yeah, please comment down below anything that you think of, any comments that you have about teaching. If you know teachers, if you are a teacher, if you're a former teacher, I would love to have a conversation to further this discussion. So chapter 1, we are talking about Miquella, my experience, my background, and why I'm qualified to talk about this even though I only taught for 2 years. For those of you who don't know, I am a third-generation educator. I come from a family of educators. My mom taught special education for about 18 years, and she is now a behavior interventionist for the school system. So she is still in the school system. Both of my grandparents are retired educators. They taught for 30 years-ish in New York. So my mom was an educator, both of my grandparents were educators, so I am very qualified to talk about this. I also have a lot of close family friends, co-workers that I built relationships with that are also still teachers. My undergrad is in psychology from Georgia State. So yeah, my undergrad is in psychology, so I didn't really have any formal education regarding teaching. However, when I was in high school, I did take teaching as a profession for 2 years, so I was already kind of exposed to how to formally teach outside of just observation with my mom and being with my mom and blah blah blah. So I did take a class for 2 years in high school about teaching. So that was my first experience as formal education, and then I really didn't get that real formal education until I started my master's in January of 2021. My background also comes from observation. Like I said, my mom taught for 18 years. My mom was a single mother, so my mom worked 5 jobs at one time. All of those jobs were around education. So she taught as her main job. She also did Saturday school, which was, I guess, like remedial extra classes for those who needed it. So she worked on Saturdays as well. She taught Sylvan tutoring. She did that. She did after school, and she also taught summer school. So throughout all of those experiences, I was with my mom a lot of the time, also going into her classroom throughout the year. So moving on from my earlier days, my senior year of college, I became a registered behavior technician, also known as an RBT, which is someone who provides one-on-one direct behavioral interventions for those who may need services in the area of communication, social skills, daily living and functional skills, or just any specific area where you want to change the behavior. I did this in the clinical setting, working specifically with children with autism. I had 2 clients. This is billed directly through insurance. So I had 2 clients who were, one was 3 and one was 13. So I alternated between those 2, and I did that for about a year. So from October of 2020 to November of 2021, I was an RBT. In October of 2021, I decided that I wanted to change settings. I wanted to try being a teacher. I already decided at that point that I wanted to become a board certified behavior analyst, also known as a BCBA, which I decided, okay, I already have this clinical experience. Now I want experience in the school system. So I decided in October of 2021 that I wanted to be a teacher. So once I decided to teach, I decided to go ahead and apply to some jobs within this one school district. I will not be naming school names, district names, any of that for various reasons. So we'll just call this District 1. So I went ahead and applied to some jobs in District 1, and I kid y'all not, within like the next hour or so, I already had people reaching out to me wanting to interview me, blah, 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 whatever. So I interviewed with the very first job that offered something to me, and I got the job and I went with it. So the job that I accepted was on the west side of Atlanta, in the hood, y'all, which was cool. I enjoyed the experience. The kids are hilarious. The culture there, I really enjoyed working there. However, I was teaching 4th and 5th grade. I was only 22 at the time, and I'm 5'1". I'm very short. I look very young, so that was a little bit challenging for me because it was more like I was their homegirl or big sister than an authority figure as their teacher. So I taught 4th and 5th interrelated special education, which means I was in the general education setting, but I had a caseload of students that I would help and service. So that was from October of 2021 to May of 2022. So I finished out that school year. I did end up renewing my contract with that school, and I moved from 4th and 5th grade interrelated down to kindergarten and first. I knew when I was working with 4th and 5th grade, like, it was too much of a power struggle, so I ended up moving down to kindergarten and first grade, which was really where I found my niche. I really enjoy working with little kids, which I already knew that, but this really solidified it for me. So August of 2022 to October 2022, I did work with kindergarten and first. So I did end up breaking my contract with this specific school district for specific reasons that I will talk a little bit about throughout this video. But I did break my contract and go to district number 2. However, when I went to district number 2, I could not be hired on as a full-time teacher, because what they don't tell you is when you break your contract mid-school year, you're still technically under contract. So you can't go from district to district until your contract is up. So when I did go to district 2, I had to work as a long-term sub. When I worked as a long-term substitute, I was looked at as the head teacher in the classroom, but I did become a self-contained pre-K teacher. So when I quit and I broke my contract with District 1, I already had this job waiting for me. However, we didn't know all of the stipulations that came with it. So I was supposed to be the full-time contractual teacher in that classroom, but because of my issues with District 1, I could only work as a, thank you Alexa, I could only work as a substitute. So anyways, I did work in pre-K self-contained from November of 2022 to May of 2023. So I was in that classroom for a long time. When I accepted this job, there was about 5 kids. I had 2 parents. So I'm like, oh yeah, this is sweet. By the end of that school year, we had 12 kids, 5 adults in that classroom. So I was still the head. I had 2 pairs. We had another long-term sub who was there for support. She was a retired teacher. And then we ended up having an RBT in the room with us. So yes, that population of kids, everyone in there did have a disability because it was self-contained. They were not on general education content. They were all had adaptive curriculum. So after I taught as a long-term sub for that school year, I did actually become a contractual teacher through District 2. But this time I went back to kindergarten and first interrelated. However, I didn't know what I was signing up for. From August 2023 to December 2023, I was a kindergarten and first grade interrelated teacher. Well, they were on general ed curriculum. However, my caseload kind of varied. So I did have some kids that I would go in with them, but I also had a lot of kids that were pull-out kids. That means I would take a small group of kids, pull them into my own classroom, and teach a lesson with them. So yeah, I did do kindergarten and first again for about 4 or 5 months before I was just like, you know what, teaching is just not for me. I'm gonna go ahead and get out while I can. So because Georgia is an at-will working state, anyone who's under a contractual agreement has 90 working days. They can fire you at any time. You can resign at any time. So I believe my 90th working day would have been December 16th-ish or something. Maybe no, December 12th. I just went ahead and resigned December 1st because I'm out of here. I'm gonna get out while I can without any penalties because I had a horror situation with district number 1. So with district number 2, I was like, you know what? This is not for me. Let me get out while I can. And I ended up being so blessed, and now I work from home. So just to kind of sum that up a little bit, I have worked in both the general education setting, which is where the general population is, as well as the self-contained setting, which everyone in my classroom did have a disability. And when I left, it's crazy because so many people were like, man, like, you are a really good teacher. We really hate to see you go because you are one of the good ones. You are one of the ones that actually wants to learn. I am a perfectionist, which put a lot of pressure on me and stressed me out because I wanted to do so well for the kids. I wanted to have everything together, but it just was not working out that way. So a lot of people were upset when I left, but a lot of people also encouraged me. They're like, wow, you really inspire me. Run for the hills while you can. And they were also like, take me with you, because if I wasn't however many 5, 10, 20 years in, they would have quit as well. They said if they had to do it all over again, they would not. And I'm talking about teachers who have been in the game for years. Also, it's like, it's bad. Like, it's really bad now. So teaching has definitely changed, especially after COVID. I hear that a lot. Once you get into teaching and you're doing it for a while, it is kind of hard to switch careers. It's scary because you've invested so much time, money, benefits, and things like that into it. So yeah, I was like, you know, I'm young. I figured out like this is not where I want to be, but there is other capacities that I can help children with disabilities. My end all be all is to still work with children with disabilities and help them. I just won't be teaching. All right, so I just gave y'all my experiences. Now we're getting into chapter 2, section 2, the role of teaching. This is where the tea starts. So one of the reasons why I quit, one of the main reasons why I quit, was the work-life balance. What they don't tell you is teaching is very demanding, especially in your first few years. I know teachers who have been working 5, 10, 20 years who are still staying after school. In district number 1, I was required to stay for 1 day, but in district number 2, I was required to stay for 2 days after school till about 4:30. Mind you, we're supposed to work 7 to 3, give or take, but we're required 2 days out of the week to stay an extra hour, hour and a half, no extra pay. So that was number 1. I'm like, okay. And also on top of your required days that you have to stay after for staff meetings, you're still gonna stay after for planning, to get your resources together, for maybe meeting with your grade level planning, to get your classroom together, especially in the beginning of the school year, getting documents together, just things of that nature. There was many times that I was staying till 5, 6 o'clock, literally working 11-hour days. Did I get paid for 11 hours? No, I did not. Even if you're like me, because I did not like to stay after a lot. So if I didn't have to, I wasn't going to, so I would run home when I could. But even when I was running home, you still might have work to do on the weekends. You still might be planning Sunday for Monday this upcoming week. So you do take a lot of your work home or outside of school hours. My second issue with work-life balance is PTO and earning PTO. So as a new teacher, it changes like with seniority. So the longer you're in a district, it may change. In the first district that I worked in, it wasn't until my second contract that I actually got personal days. So because I was a new teacher in District 1, I got no personal days, but I could earn sick time. And sick time is for like literally emergencies. If you have a doctor's appointment, if you're literally sick, it's not like, okay, I just want to take a day off, unless you're, you know, just like, I'm sick. Sick days, you just can't be like, look, I'm not here today, I'm not coming in. That's more like a personal day. A personal day is just, no rhyme or reason. On top of that, if you are sick for more than like 2 days, you have to show proof. Like you have to go to the doctor and get a doctor's note to be like, I was actually sick, or they're not going to give you that sick time and you're not going to get paid. But it's like, well, what if I'm so sick that I can't make it to the doctor and I just want to lay in the bed and get myself together? They don't care. You have to provide that documentation. So in district number 2, I actually had 3 personal days starting off. However, with personal days in either district 1 or district 2, you do have to plan for them. You can't just wake up and be like, I'm not coming in today. You have to tell them at least like 2 weeks in advance if you're going to be using your personal days. So yeah, PTO is really iffy. I also feel like, yeah, we get breaks, we get the summers off. However, breaks just never really felt like breaks for me, because you're so worn out from day to day, week to week, that when you do finally get to break, it's not even like a break. It just feels like normal. Like, it just feels like I'm catching up and getting myself together. Oftentimes when I'm on break, it wasn't like I could do really what I wanted to do. It's just like me doing everything that I couldn't do because I'm working so much. So my second thing about the role is you're required to do more than what you signed up for. So for example, let's say I'm a kindergarten and first grade interrelated teacher. If there's a gap or if there's something going on, like, they will make you pick up the gaps. I'm supposed to be a kindergarten and first grade teacher, but you have me learning second grade content to help support another teacher. Cool, I get that, and I don't mind helping that teacher because I actually really liked her, but it's still like, that's not what I signed up for. And I'm very much a stick to it type of person, and especially for a first year teacher in a new district, different curriculum. I'm still trying to learn this kindergarten and first grade curriculum, trying to get a rhythm for myself, and you're adding another grade level for me to service on top of that. I wasn't ready for all that. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a perfectionist. I like to make sure I'm good at one thing before you start throwing other things onto me. But because of the role, because they told you have to do it, you have to do it. So just know, you do have to be very flexible. They may have you doing things that you're not comfortable with doing. They may have you doing things that you don't want to do. So number 3, there is endless paperwork. Endless paperwork. I'm talking about lesson plans, data entry, grading, testing, all of the above. Especially with special education, you have IEPs, accommodations, just things like that. So there is endless paperwork on top of you still having to teach. So in all of your planning periods, your lunch periods, like, you're still doing paperwork. And even if it's not paperwork, it's digital, whatever the case may be, you are still constantly doing documentation, leaving a paper trail, sending emails. It's just constant. Teaching is definitely not like you come in, you teach, you go home. Like, that is not what it is at all. There are jobs out there that are like that. Teaching is not one of them. And in special education, another thing is there are so many deadlines and things that you have to adhere to because of the legality. You literally can go to jail for not being compliant. You can go to jail for so many things, especially in special education, because IEPs, which is a child who has an IEP, is legally binding, which means the government, which means you're going to jail. So if you're not somebody who feels like you have all your P's and Q's, all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, don't get into special education, because it is very, 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 very serious. So number 4 about the role is, I feel like it can be super frustrating when you feel like your hands are tied. Like, there's been a lot of instances where I've had colleagues and coworkers who also have felt this way, where you want to do so much more for the child or for a student that you know is struggling, that you know that this is not the best environment for them, a student that you know needs more resources and more help, and there's literally nothing you can do about it, because there's a process to everything. There is a process to testing into special education. Everything is data driven. So if this data looks okay, but what they're doing every day in the classroom doesn't add up, like, as long as the data looks right, they don't really care. Like, there's a lot of things that go into it, but I just feel like teachers are constantly frustrated with the gaps and trying to close those gaps and what they want us to do to close those gaps. It's just like, this is not right. We're trying to make it right, and you're not letting us make it right. Another time where I feel like I've been super frustrated in the role is seeing people in the building, like staff, who just genuinely don't care about kids. They're there for a paycheck, and it's just so obvious. Like, every school that I've worked in has been an underprivileged, Title I, urban or impoverished community. So I've not worked in these uppity schools. I've worked in schools that kids obviously need help. Like, every kid gets free and reduced lunch. Like, that's the type of environments that I worked in. So for me, as somebody who has grown up in certain environments, and someone who has a background in psychology, and someone who's very passionate about helping people, and you're a counselor in a school, in an elementary school, yeah. Another thing is, social workers aren't that good either. You see those home environments, parents, and they're not doing what they need to be doing. You can't really say anything. You can't really do anything, because everything is very taboo. So that's another thing that was super frustrating about the role, because you want to do more, you want to help, but there's only so much you can do as a teacher. All right, so number 5 on the list, something that I did not like about the role is the pressure of ethical values. Now, I'm a good person. I've never been a wild child. I've never done anything crazy, but I felt so much pressure to dwindle myself down as a person because I'm a teacher. It was hard. Like, I just felt like I couldn't really like be myself on social media. I felt like I had to constantly like hide out, or I couldn't really express myself as I wanted to because there's so much pressure. Like, you're a teacher, which I absolutely understand. You have to hold yourself to this standard. You have to And I just felt like I am still in my 20s. I live in the middle of Atlanta. Like, I want to be able to express myself and enjoy life outside of teaching, but I just felt so much pressure to like I said, dwindle myself down. And when people know you're a teacher, they have all these expectations of you, and you're supposed to look and act a certain way. And I'm just like, I'm gonna still be me at the end of the day. Like, I was always myself around my kids, and I was always myself around coworkers, but I also still had to, you know, like, in a professional setting, yes, obviously, but it was just something more so about being a teacher that put so much pressure on the image and your ethical values and what you're doing outside of work, which again, I believe it is important to hold yourself to a certain standard, which I do anyways, but I felt like I had to be almost like a nun. Like, this is 2024 now. Like, it's just, I just feel like a lot of these standards and perspectives on teachers should be changed as well. I still kind of was like reluctant to get tattoos. I was reluctant to post certain things. I didn't want to post like me out. I felt like I couldn't even post like a little drink on social media, which we all know, like, everybody, teachers drink, they go out, they have fun, but it's just like, you just can't post about it. So now that I've quit teaching, I'm still a professional. I still have a job. I still work in, you know, the professional world, but I quit teaching. I just felt this weight lifted off of my shoulders about who I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to look like and how I'm supposed to act. Like, I just felt like there was a lot of pressure around that, especially being a special education elementary school teacher. I would never even do anything higher than elementary school for purposes, because I know them kids, they all are on social media, and it's crazy because it's like they have these expectations of us and what we're supposed to look like and act like, but the stuff that these kids consume are way worse than anything I would ever do. So it's just like, and that's another reason why I would never work anything. I was really like high-key skeptical of even working with 4th and 5th grade because I was scared those kids were gonna look me up. Number 6, my final thing about this role is that they are still messy. They are so messy. Like, you would think that you're grown and in a professional setting. No, they're messy. Every school I've worked in, every district I've worked in, every setting that I've worked in, there has been mess. Why? We're in a schoolhouse. You are not supposed to be gossiping and having attitudes of being stink and clicking up and doing all this messy stuff, and you're supposed to be teaching kids. Like, literally, it's like you have no life outside of here, because there is no way, no reason why you're bringing drama and mess to the schoolhouse with kids. So not only did I observe mess, but people are actually trying to be messy with me, and I'm like, me? I'm like the most genuine, sweetest person, regardless of what whoever wants to think, whatever. I'm a super sweet, genuine, nice. I keep to myself. So when people are trying to be messy with me, I'm like, oh no, I'm out of here because I don't even do that type of stuff. So there was a time where like I'm talking about 40-year-old women, mad because I'm young and turned. I'm sorry. And that's really what it boils down to. Like, they were mad because I don't kiss butt. I'm going to speak up for myself. I'm going to always stand on business when it comes to me. So a lot of people don't like that because I am super nice. I think people have always tried to take advantage of that. I think it's sweet over here. It's sweet until it gets sour. So please be prepared for even when you're not doing anything, people will try and make something out of it. Just take it as like, you know, they probably don't really have lives outside of this. This is their fun, this is their excitement. But always stand on business when it comes to yourself, because people will try you, especially when you're new, you're young. They think you don't know anything until you show them you know something, and now they're offended. Yeah, so my advice would be stand on business about yourself, because they will try it. But always do it respectfully. You know, do it professionally, do it respectfully. And yeah, so please be aware of drama and mess, because no matter how old you get, they're messy. All right, now we are transitioning into section 3, chapter 3. I talked about the role of a teacher. Now we're going to talk about my issues with the school system. So first and foremost, number one, which is the main reason why I've left my situations, is the support. There's either none at all, or there's too much support, and the support that they are trying to give is not helpful. So I've experienced both sides of that. So my first experience in District 1, I literally winged it every day. Nobody taught me how to do a lesson plan. I never did my own IEPs. Like, I literally was winging it every single day. I had no idea what was going on. Special education, you are supposed to have a lead teacher. There's different acronyms for it. I will not be disclosing those acronyms because it could be telling to which districts I've worked in. I'm not gonna do that because nobody's suing Miquella. However, I did have a lead teacher coming into my first year. They were not helpful for me at all. I had a student who was like calling teachers the B words, flipping desks, running out of the classrooms, like escaping into the hallway. And I'm like, can you please help me? Like, I'm talking about, I'm only in my first or second month. I'm like, can you please help me? I don't know what to do. So-and-so just left. I don't know where he went. Do you know what that person told me to do? Yeah, just call their mom. What? Call their mom? In this situation? Do you think that's... Yeah, no. So that was like an issue for me. That person ended up leaving. So the following school year, we had no lead who was supposed to create those schedules, who's supposed to support you, help you figure out your deadlines and stuff like that. No, we didn't have one. I was literally lost. Luckily, I had my mom. I luckily had people that I knew that did teach, but nobody was helping me. I was just getting by every day. It was sweet because nobody was bothering me, but at the same time, me being a perfectionist, me actually caring about children and wanting to see them grow, me not having support or knowing what I'm really supposed to be doing with these kids was like blowing my mind. And I was like, I can't do this. And like the stuff they were asking me to do was so unethical and out of compliance, which is another reason why I left. And when I quit, when I left that district, I was telling the higher ups, I'm talking about, I'm reaching out to dang near the superintendent, and I'm like, I'm literally not getting any support. Can you at least, if you don't want me to leave the district, if you don't want me to break my contract, at least transfer me to a different school, because I can't do it here. They still wouldn't help me. They still would not help me, and I'm literally reaching out to the higher ups for help. They still wouldn't help me, so that's why I had to break my contract. Moving on to the next school district, there was so much support to the point where it was overwhelming. There was excessive trainings. We were a part of a lot of, I don't even know how to explain it, but they made us part of these groups. We had SVI coaches, we had all these different coaches. And yeah, it was to a point where I was like super overwhelmed, because it's like, not only am I trying to figure out what I'm doing, I'm in a master's program, and you have all these trainings and all these people harassing me. Like, I'm just done. The reason why it was so overwhelming to have all of this support, like, you would think like, oh yeah, trainings are good, having these people reach out to you are good, having this and that is good, yes, but at the same time, it really wasn't what I needed. Like, what I needed was those foundational things to set me up to further me. And it was just like so much things happening at one time. Like, I'm trying to grasp grasp one thing, and y'all are throwing 50 things onto me at one time. It was just super overwhelming. On top of me teaching full-time, then you still have all this extracurricular going on, what they want you to do. Then I was also in a master's program full-time, still trying to live my life. So the support that they were giving just felt more overwhelming than helpful. Coming from not having any support at all, going to this next district that had all of these different resources and all of this different support, you would think like, yes, I made it. That's what I thought going into it. However, it became super overwhelming. It became super, like, I had all this pressure on me to teach full-time. I still had to log into trainings, different meetings after school with people that it really didn't make any sense to me. I had people constantly checking in on me. Even with the trainings, like the trainings wasn't just like, okay, you learned something new, cool, apply it. It was literally where we would have trainings, and then we'd have to keep meeting with these people, and we had like these assignments where, like, once we learned the strategy, now we have to record ourselves, submit it to y'all to judge us, or give us feedback. Like, it's supposed to be helpful. Like, yes, feedback is good, but at the same time, like, we don't like that as teachers. We do not want to constantly be watched, and that was constantly happening. I was constantly getting observations. But I will say this, I could not make this video without shouting out my mentor teacher, Sierra, and my SEI coach, Princess. Like, y'all, literally, I know I've told y'all this a million times, but y'all are literally the reason why I lasted as long as I did, why I survived, because I was literally losing my mind. And they know this, but I really could not make this video without really shutting them out. I love y'all. Y'all really held it down for me and helped me stay together. So that I had an amazing mentor teacher. Many questions that I've had, like, she never made it feel like it was an issue. The same thing with my SEI coach, like, they were really there for me. But even with all of their help, it was still super overwhelming. And they also agreed, like, some of the initiatives that the district was doing was overwhelming, especially for a new teacher. My issue with that support was not that it was bad or that I didn't want the support. I did. It just felt more like what they wanted us to have and not really what we needed or what we were asking for. So talking about support leads me into my next point, which is the higher ups, which is anybody higher than a teacher. So admin, people in HR, superintendents, these zone, I don't even know, all these different people, that anybody higher than a teacher and that's telling teachers what to do or creating these initiatives or whatever it is. I feel like my biggest issue is they have not been in a classroom in years, if at all, if they've ever even been in a classroom. So, like, yes, you may come in for observations, but day to day today, it is completely different than to just come in for an observation once in a blue moon, which we don't like. But at the same time, I just feel like if you're not experiencing this, it's hard for you to say what would be good for us or what we should be doing. That leads me to my next point. Curriculum is so scripted. I'm talking about down to the unit plans and scheduling. Like, there's a specific route that we're supposed to follow. They do give us some flexibility, but not much. And I just feel like there's not a lot of creativity as to what we can be doing, because there's so much pressure around test scores that everything kind of has to be scripted, because you have to follow these guidelines so when the test comes, the kids know what to do, because test scores are so important. But yeah, I just feel like the curriculum being scripted does not allow for creativity, does not allow for kids to really dive into their learning styles, because every kid is different, every learning style is different. But you have these scripted curriculums. I'm talking about math, reading, science, everything is so scripted. And even though it's scripted, a lot of teachers don't follow it. We're like, yeah, and then close the door and do whatever we want to do. However, it's still a lot of pressure behind how we should be doing things and not really focusing on the progression of kids and more so the data and the test scores, which is another point that I have. The school system is so heavily focused on test scores that it's not focused on progress and what kids know. And something that is a big issue of mine, especially working in special education and knowing that there's kids who are nonverbal, there's kids who can't read, there's kids who have fine motor skill issues. So having that background in special education, because there is a lot of undiagnosed kids out there as well, just trying to base what a child knows off of a formal test is absolutely not indicative of what they can do. So I just feel like there's different ways to test children in different capacities that isn't just so scary. Like sitting down and doing a test is scary. I hated testing growing up, and they give little brain breaks in these programs, but so I just feel like all that testing all year long, like it's literally almost non-stop, is just too much. Absolutely too much. And it's not fair to kids, and it's not fair to teachers. My next issue with the school system is that they are passing students along to the next grade without foundational knowledge, or they're just literally letting them fall through the cracks. And that's absolutely not okay, because I cannot tell y'all how many times I've seen teachers across the country have seen these kids without any foundational knowledge. How are you in this grade? So something that we say in the educational world is around 3rd grade, you're no longer learning to read, you're now reading to learn. So what that means is, you know, your earlier years in elementary school, you are learning like phonics and syntax and CVC words and sight words, so all of that foundational knowledge that you need to learn how to read and to create sentences. 3rd grade and up, you're now reading to learn, which means comprehension skills. How can you comprehend a text if you can't read the words? So I've seen so many instances of that. I'm talking about 4th, 5th graders who cannot read CVC words. If you don't know what a CVC word is consonant, vowel, consonant, like the shortest, smallest words you can create, like cat, hat, bat, mitt, bet, like short, very short words like that. They literally cannot read that in the 5th grade. And why are we passing these kids along? So I can't even imagine what these upper grade teachers are going through, because for me to be at a foundational level and seeing these issues then, and like you just are constantly getting pushed along, it's super frustrating. It's not only frustrating for the kids, but it's frustrating for the teachers and vice versa. Like it's hard on both ends. And what people don't know is a lot of the curriculum is getting pushed back. So something that I learned in 3rd grade maybe 16 years ago, they're now requiring kids to learn sooner, like in 2nd grade. So a lot of the curriculum is getting pushed back to be learned sooner, but these kids aren't picking it up and grasping it. So that is a big issue as well. Let's get into the pay, because this is something that everybody talks about. I didn't ever want to teach because I saw how underappreciated teachers are, and the pay is absolutely not equivalent to the work that is done. And I've always said this even before I started teaching myself. Teachers should get paid the same, if not really more, than lawyers, doctors, all of that. Because think about it, we are raising people's kids. We're with people's kids more than they're with their own kids. We're with kids 8 hours a day, 180 days out of the school year. Sometimes even more than that, more than 8 hours, more than those designated school days. In my opinion, base teacher salary should be at least 80K. 120 for special ed teachers. This is something that everyone knows. We all know teacher pay is not the best. And I'm hoping that it continues to change and increases, because it's really deserving of teachers to get paid a lot more. I only have 3 points for parents issues, but it's a long list, because y'all parents, for real, we really need y'all to work with us, and we need to be a team in order to help your kids progress. Like it's literally not on us. So to my parents, because somebody has to say it, so I'm gonna be the one to say it. Teachers are not miracle workers. Now I always say that teaching is doing the Lord's work, which it is. However, we are not miracle workers. We cannot help your kids if you don't help your kids. And you're wondering why your kid isn't progressing, you're wondering why your kids have the grades that they have, because y'all are not communicating, y'all are not seeing things like the same. And it's okay to disagree on some things. However, like we do need to work as a team in order to provide the best education for your kids, you know? So I'll say this also on behalf of teachers: please take accountability. Your kids do act like that. Your kids do act like that in the classroom. We've all been kids before. I've had teachers who has called my mom because I'm in 1st grade and I'm dancing in line. That's something to call my mom about? No. But I will also say I've been a kid and I can act crazy. So everyone has been a kid. You know what kids can do. Even when you think you have the most sweetest angel baby ever, kids act up, especially with the kids around them. You don't know what the kids around them are doing, which influences your kid to do bad stuff. You just don't know. I don't think kids are bad. They might have bad behaviors. However, yeah, please take accountability. Now, this is gonna be the last thing I say to parents, but this is the most important thing because this is the thing that stressed me out the most. For the love of all things good, please limit the iPad tablet usage. I don't know how many times I will say this till I'm blue in the face. Please get them kids off of that stuff because it is literally, y'all don't even know how bad it's affecting them. The attention span, the instant gratification. I get it. I taught a room full of 3, 4, and 5-year-olds with disabilities. You want a break, and I absolutely agree you need a break as a parent, as whatever, the caretaker, whoever you may be. You absolutely need a break, but we need you to do something a little bit more beneficial to the child's development than to stick an iPad in front of them, okay? Because yeah, Miss Rachel is good. Yeah, Bluey, whoever it may be, Gracie's Corner, but you cannot stick that in front of them all day. One of my professors actually told me this is pre-Kers, like that 3, 4, and 5-year-old stage, it is actually more detrimental to be pushing this academic knowledge onto them, like ABCs, 1, 2, 3. Like, yes, they should be learning it, but they should not be learning it formally. They should not be forced into a line and things like that at such a young age. They should actually be learning how to do these things through play. Get them a puzzle, get them some Play-Doh, just do different fun activities that will keep them engaged, but it's still educational at the same time. Like, find more educational, beneficial, engaging things for them to do other than the iPad. And in all seriousness, I really want y'all to look up the effects that these iPads and all this media is having on children. Because when I have kids, I promise y'all them kids are not gonna be on that iPad maybe on the weekends. I wouldn't even let them do it during the school week. On the weekends, and that's still gonna be limited to a couple hours. You're gonna go outside and play. You're gonna find something in real life, something tangible. Like, even as an adult, like, I absolutely feel like this is super detrimental to us as grown adults who have a fully developed brain or close to it. So I can't imagine what it's doing to young children. So 2024, keep them kids off that iPad. All right, so we are now at the end of this video, but I could not end this video without leaving on a positive note. I could sit here and bash the role of teaching, the school system, things I don't agree with that parents do all day long, but I do have to talk about the positive things that came with teaching. I absolutely needed this experience. It's got me to where I am today. It's helped me learn a lot of things. I feel like I would be a better parent one day because of this experience. And yeah, I can't just sit here and bash it completely and just say negative things. So I will end on a positive note saying that it is so rewarding. Like, I will literally sit here and get emotional right now talking about how much I enjoyed interacting with kids every day. Even with all the behaviors, everything that I've been through, like, I really loved every single kid that I've had. I don't have any children of my own yet, but you can ask anybody, any of my friends, anybody I talked to. When I talked about my students, I said my kids. I really treated each and every one of those kids like they were my babies because I really loved them so much. And it was really hard for me to leave teaching because of that. I really loved connecting with them. I loved seeing their progress when they learned something. One of my biggest accomplishments is when I first got into that pre-K self-contained classroom, I did have a lot of kids who were nonverbal. One of my kids was saying words at the end of the school year. Like, y'all don't understand like how good that makes you feel, and just really like touching and making a change in somebody's life. Like, that is so rewarding. It feels so good. And I really hated leaving the kids. Like, that was the one thing that kept me in it for so long, because I really wanted to quit my first year. But the thing that kept me in it so long was the kids. If you don't really care about the pay, you don't care about having support, you don't care about nothing else, like, if you don't care about anything that I said in this video, then please become a teacher, because we absolutely need good teachers. There's a teacher shortage. There's a good teacher shortage. So not only is there a shortage of teachers, but we really need those people like me. I do actually really care about my kids. I can't be in the school system. I'm still going to work with kids in a different capacity, but go for it. I say go for it, do it, and be the best teacher you can be if you do make this commitment. Please ask for help. I would say find a really good support system. Maybe join groups on Facebook if this is something that you're really passionate about. Teaching specifically, find support groups, find a really good mentor teacher. Find people within your school that you can trust, people that you can connect with. Outside of content creation, my passion is working with children, especially children with disabilities. Again, I will be working with children in the future. I'm just taking a break right now, but I will be working with kids with disabilities and helping them. Like, that's really what my passion is. So we made it to the end. If you watched this whole video, thank you so much. I really hope this gives you a little bit of perspective. Like I said in the beginning of this video, please comment. I would love to further this discussion, hear, you know, your experiences and things like that. But teaching is not a terrible profession. It's just you got to be strong to do it. So if you're strong and you really want to do it, please do it, because we need you. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, learning a little bit about my experiences and my trials and tribulations of teaching. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.